My junior college roommate was Kurt Budke. And you know that, he was the OSU girls women's basketball coach, got killed in a plane crash back about 12 years ago, I think it was. But Kurt was the coach at Trinity Valley Junior College down in Texas. And she had played for him and was a really good player, but she ended up marrying Darren Benson, who was a defensive lineman for the Dallas Cowboys. And so she didn't go on to a 4-year school. She just got married and started following him around in football and all that. And she got, I guess you could say, she got the itch again and wanted to get back in and play. And so Kurt called me and said, "Hey, I've got this girl that's she'll be the best player on your team." And he was not lying. And it wasn't even close. TJ, as we called her, wound up. I brought her up here on a recruiting visit and decided that this was between me and Kurt. We kind of convinced her, "Hey, if you want to get back in, this is the place to do it." And so we got her here at East Central, and she turned out to be maybe by far the best athlete that's ever played the sport at East Central, and maybe one, kind of hard to say the best player, because I've had a previous player, national player of the year in Gina Farmer, but it was interesting that Gina led the nation in scoring in 1997, and TJ led the nation in scoring in 1998. So we had two of the best players in the country right there on campus, and I believe her junior year she averaged 27, 28 points a game, and she could just go score whenever. If you needed a basket, you just said, "Hey, TJ, get the ball to TJ and go do your thing." And so we were very blessed that we had a nice run of really good basketball players during that time, and TJ led us to our third straight national tournament appearance. Second team Kodak All-American, led the nation in scoring her junior year. Pound for pound, maybe she was about 6 foot tall, could play any position on the floor, could play guard, could play point guard, could play post, and we played her in all of those and just let her go do her thing, which she was very, very good at. We had been to our second straight national tournament appearance, and so then we had to kind of reload. She was kind of the highlight of that reloading process, but it took us a while to gel and find our way. But once we did, there was no doubt that we were going to be we were going to have to be dealt with in what was that time the District 9, where you had basically the entire state. You had the Oklahoma Intercollegiate Conference, which we were in, and then the Sooner Athletic Conference, and then you had a couple of independents. But our first playoff game was at USAO, and we went and won that one fairly easily. Then we had to go to Southeastern and win. And when we did that, then we wound up at Southwestern in the District 9 championship game, who they were ranked, I want to say they were ranked in the top 5 in the country at that time. And we went on the road and beat them by 10 in the finals of the District 9 championship. So because of our earlier season struggles, we had to win that game to get into the national tournament. Some of the highlights of TJ's time there at East Central, and there are tons of them, but the ones that I remember most are the ones where she led us either to conference tournament championships or to the national tournament, and was always a very integral part of what we were doing.
You sit here and I read some of her bio. I mean, she had the scoring record for almost 11 years in the LSC. She scored double figures in all 59 She had 17 double doubles, 18 as a senior. She was named, let's see, top 75 player in the history of the LSC.
I'd have to adjust that to say probably top 5 in the history of the LSC. I mean,
Yeah.
there were a lot of good players in that league back then, but there weren't very many better than her. I don't know that I can say that there was ever a game that she played in at her time at East Central that there was a better athlete on the floor. I mean, it just, she could go, she could handle the basketball with either hand. She could shoot it from 3. She could finish at the rim. Great rebounder, great distributor of the basketball. I mean, she could do it all. And like I said, we were very, very fortunate and blessed to have her in our program at that time. You know, as I said earlier, we had a nice run there where we had 4 All-Americans in a 5-year span. We had the 2 kids from New Zealand, Farmer and Cotton, followed by TJ, and then Stormy Griffith in after that. So we were very fortunate that we had a lot of good basketball players that I didn't. My biggest job was to not screw them up and just let them go do what they do best. And so that's what we tried to do. TJ, I love you, girl. I was very fortunate to be able to coach you. I was so glad and so happy that you chose to renew your career at East Central. We had some great times together. Thinking back to even the very first trip we went on, I remember we flew down to A&M Kingsville, and there was a lot of kids that had never been on an airplane before. And TJ was like a mama to all of them because she'd flown all over the place with following her husband at the time with the Dallas Cowboys. So, but we had some really great times together. Had some great times out at the national tournament. Times that I will always look back and cherish, and that I was fortunate enough to coach a kid that was as good a basketball player as she was.